Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Viking Central podcast. Today, we got a Week 8 matchup of the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Chargers. So, this is the Viking Central pregame show. With me tonight, I have Austin Dowdle joining me. Austin, how are we doing?
Doing pretty good. Vikings kind of disappointed us so far, but I'm pretty confident going into tomorrow night, though.
Absolutely. I think we could live in negativity as it is with what happened in the Eagles game, or we can look forward as far as what we need to do in this Thursday night game to get a win and come away with it and get back to a winning record. So right now we go into it uh, at 500, 3-3. So now can we come out of this with a winning record and maybe hand the keys over to JJ when we go to Detroit and we face Detroit?
Yeah, I agree. There was a lot of things looking at that Eagles game that you could get into, and kind of my biggest thing is that we went away from the run game once we got into the red zone. And I kind of feel like that really hurt us. We became a one-dimensional team, and we're rolling out there with our backup quarterbacks. That was kind of something I kind of noticed. I would like us to utilize Jordan Mason more, and who knows, maybe even Aaron Jones this week too.
Yeah, we did. So we started having success in that second half of the Eagles game with Jordan Mason, and we started running towards the edges. We were having some success there, and then it kind of seemed like we went away from it for some reason. Especially when we get down in the red zone, we kind of went away from Jordan Mason as well. Obviously, we didn't do well with our different trips. I want to say we were 1 for 6 in the red zone
Yeah.
against the Eagles, and that's just not going to get it done. That's kind of the formula for success that we have on our defense is, typically we're a bend don't break kind of defense. That didn't go our way last week either. Yeah, we were more of a break. We had big
Yeah.
plays that really just hurt us, whether it be from AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, that kind of led, um, to some of the unraveling as far as to our usual game plan or formula for success that Brian Flores and KOC have had with the Vikings.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of think it was uncharacteristic of it was Isaiah Rodgers a couple of times who let up big plays. I feel like that's not something that he does very often. People have their moments where stuff like that can happen. I don't think that's a problem. I kind of more so this is more so on the offense in the long run that pick six really hurt us, and even turning the ball over on the very next drive that was a big issue. It's hard to be on the defense when the offense isn't giving you any help, and it just sucks when you keep seeing your offense putting threes up there and they just aren't able to go in the end zone. So I'm not. I think I'm pretty happy with what I saw on our defense, and I think if we can play like that, minus two couple big plays, I think we'll be fine going in tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite as bad as what it seems. Yes, there was a lot of things that make you want to shake your head from that game. And we'll talk about some of that stuff, but let's go ahead and turn the corner, turn the page, if you will, as far as what we need to do here on a short week. And it's always difficult when you're playing on a short week. You just played Sunday. Now you got to go travel, especially out to
Yeah.
LA and face the Chargers on Thursday night football. So we go to SoFi Stadium, Vikings, Chargers. This is a game where, when you're not the home team, you have less time to prepare. So you saw the Vikings injury report come out, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But some key names that we saw on that injury report, shockingly, we saw Christian Darrisaw pop up late on that one, which was concerning, which we'll talk about. We also saw that it looks like Donovan Jackson will be good to go. We did see that Brian O'Neill is still questionable. We did see that we may get Aaron Jones back this week. He's on the 21-day, to return. He's off the IR, so that's great. And then the other one that we saw, two big ones, was Andrew Van Ginkel and CJ Ham are not going to be playing in this game. So I think that was a little bit of a surprise for to see CJ Ham on there. I think Andrew Van Ginkel, I think everyone was just, hopefully he can play.
Yeah.
Um, so on a short week, it's hard to expect a whole lot to change with some of those injuries. But Brian O'Neill and Darisaw, I think, are the two big ones that concern me kind of going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more so worried about Brian O'Neill. I'm hoping that he's not gonna be out so long. I could be wrong. I'm speculating that I'm thinking that maybe they're just giving Darisaw the day off, because it is a short break. That's kind of my guess on that, but I will see when the game comes around because if Darisaw is hurt again, that would be huge. That could be a big problem going forward because from what I saw, isn't it in the same knee too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think again, some of it sometimes, so we didn't see him. So before on like last week or the last 2 weeks, we saw Darisaw on the did not practice, but it said that rest, so it
yeah.
wasn't for injury. But for this one, it did not say for rest. So I'm guessing there could be something that possibly was tweaked there. So that's just something of concern. Now, before we jump into these keys of the game and talk a little bit more, because I do have part of that is the offensive line, which we'll talk a little bit more. I do want to make sure that I recognize our sponsors. That's Badass Wood Art. Make sure that you're using code VC15 to receive 15% off. And again, that's Badass Wood Art. They do all kinds of good, cool giveaways. And then make sure that you catch our post game show for the That's Badass Wood Art Player of the Game. Again, VC15 at that'sbadasswoodart.com. And then also make sure that you check out SeatGeek. SeatGeek, use code VikeCentral, get $20 off any $50 or more purchase. Bike Central, that goes for any NFL games, concerts, events, anything that you want to go check out. Please use that code. That's one of the ways that you can support us. And then, of course, Homage. Use that link that's up at the top of your screen, homage.sjv.io/Vikings. They got awesome looking, comfortable shirts and all kinds of other different clothing items for you to check out. But again, one of the ways that you can support us and also make sure that you uh, get a discount on some cool looking clothes, go to homage.com. Again, use that homage.sjv.io/Vikings. All right. Our first key to the game that we're going to kind of get into for this game is going to be the one that really kind of has been burning us the last 3 times that we've played, whether that be the Steelers game. And we got Ryan that just joined us here now, too. And
What's going on?
I think, let me just try. Let's see which view we like. We like this view better, maybe. We'll see. All right. So turnovers. Last 3 games we've had, whether it be the Steelers game, Cleveland. We started off with a couple turnovers as well, and then we saw that again in the Eagles game turn its nasty head. Turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. That's really kind of killing us. So one of the things that we got to try to do in this Chargers game is make sure that we're starting off on a clean slate. Uh, and we got to win that turnover battle, so somehow we got to flip it on its head. We've kind of went on a dry spell now, ever since the Cincinnati game, where we have not been creating turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. So hopefully we can protect the ball on the offensive side, and maybe our defense can come up with some big plays to get us the ball back. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things when you look into an NFL game. Whoever wins a turnover battle is probably going to win the game. So I think I'm more so concerned. The offense needs to take care of the ball. Both of Carson Wentz's throws last week, it could have been prevented, but we're gonna let the pass go and just say going forward, let's just be smart with the ball and let's not try to do too much. And I think if our offense can do that, I think our defense will be able to generate a few turnovers because we have been rushing the passer a lot better. I could see a fumble or something coming on. So I think if the offense just minimalizes anything happening on their end, I think we could win the turnover battle.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. I mean, turnovers have been the Achilles heel really of this team for the last few years. And when they win the turnover battle, their record is really superb. So as long as
Absolutely.
they can hold on to the ball, then I think they have a fighting chance. The thing about Thursday night games is you're not digging super deep into your playbooks. And, the importance of the game is to keep it within the lines. And when I say within the lines, I mean on the field and mentally. And that's really who usually comes out on top in these short weeks.
So when we talk about offensive health, so before you joined, Ryan, we talked a little bit about the injury report, and we saw Christian Darrisaw on there as well too, with Brian O'Neill. So offensive line health and execution. So what does this possibly mean? So if we're missing Brian O'Neill, that may mean that Justin School goes ahead and plays that right tackle. But if we're also missing Christian Darrisaw, there's a couple different ways that we can do this. Uh, so what we could do is, so School played left tackle for most of training camp while Darisaw was out. So I know it's not the popular thing, but we could see Justin School there again. We could see Michael Jurgens go ahead and play that center spot, and then you could take Blake Brandell and kick him out to right tackle, even possibly. And then it looks like Donovan Jackson's going to be back at left guard. And of course, the only healthy one all season for every game has been Will Fries at right guard.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that the Darisaw thing is just, more precautionary than anything else. But but let's say worst case scenario, both him and O'Neill are out. Then yeah, I think you're going to see Michael Jurgens come in at center, and Brandel. I mean, I could see a world where they actually bump Donovan Jackson to left tackle and put Brandel at the left guard spot, and then
that could happen too.
Will Fries at right guard, Jurgens at center, and then right tackle position. Either it'll probably be School. I don't think we've seen much of Walter Rouse on the right side, so it'll probably be School. But
so you bring up a good point. So Donovan Jackson was asked to do that and kick out to left tackle when he was at Ohio State, and he did that very well. The only potential reason why I think they maybe don't do that is just because he has not taken any snaps. I don't believe in practice either at left tackle. So that's the only reason why I think he may not do that. But if they did do that, I mean, like Brandel, that's the position left guard that he played last year. That would be easy for him to do. I just don't know how much of a learning curve it is in this offense for Donovan Jackson, having not taken any snaps, having to bounce out to left tackle on short notice. That's the only question I would have.
No, I think that too. And then I think a big thing is I think the problem also is with continuity with Jackson. I think they want to keep him in at the left guard position and keep him familiar with the plays. I don't think they want to throw too much onto him either. So that's kind of where I'm at with having. I don't think they'll have him kick out, in my opinion.
All right, so the next one I got is stopping big plays from Herbert and company. So big plays is really what really kind of stuck us and dug us from the defensive side of the ball. We saw, and I don't think that this was how it was constructed, like that early touchdown by A.J. Brown, where you had Metellus guarding him. I don't think that is the ideal matchup for them. And I think that they had probably planned for, because there was a safety back there, but not in position. And I don't know if there was just a blown safety coverage on that play. Sorry, go ahead.
I think with the Flores defense, sometimes that stuff's going to happen. Like when you got guys moving around as much as he does pre-snap, there's going to be matchups that happen sometimes that maybe aren't the most favorable. But that's why the guys that he tries to recruit, the guys that he picks on the defensive side of the ball, he expects to have the ability to play multiple positions. And Metellus can't guard A.J. Brown for 4 seconds, but he could probably guard him for 2 seconds.
Sure.
And if that's the case, then you have to get to the quarterback. And simply put, they just didn't get to Hurts. Like that's what it boiled down to.
Yeah.
People talk about how great the Vikings pass defense has been all year. And, Isaiah Rodgers has been incredible. Don't get me wrong, up until this past game. But a lot of the reason is because they're generating more pressure on the quarterback than most teams. And when you're doing that, yeah, your pass defense in the secondary, they're not going to have a whole bunch of super accurate balls or a lot of time to go back and pick out people. The one thing Jalen Hurts has been good at his entire career, going back to Alabama and Oklahoma, was the deep ball. That was the only thing that could have beat us on Sunday, and it was the one thing that we gave up. So, yeah, the good thing about this game is the Chargers have a really bad offensive line right now, and it looks like Joe Alton, well, it looks like he'll probably play, but I know he's going in with a questionable designation. But still, they lost their left tackle before the season even started, and the rest of their O-line has not been playing well. And so we should feast. I mean, we should be in the quarterback's lap all game. And if that's the case, then I think you'll see the Vikings pass defense look like it was the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, I think what I was referring to with the Eagles game though, both those plays, the Devonta Smith play and the AJ Brown touchdown, it looked like we had safeties that were out of position. It looked like they were back there, but maybe just out of position, and they got caught. Same thing with Isaiah Rodgers. Typically, we have a two safety look deep, and again, that bend don't break. So we're not allowing the big plays because we're making sure that. I would say that we're discouraging offenses from trying to throw over the top on us because we have ball hawking safeties in the back. And that's typically been a deterrent towards the big play. And just it seemed like we got caught a couple plays where, we were just out of position maybe.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it happened. That's gonna happen. I think it's exactly what Ryan said in a Ryan Flores defense. It's like a lot of moving parts going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think those were fluke plays. The players are going to make mistakes, and I think that was kind of just happening. Unfortunately, they were on go routes, so it just so happened to be worse. It turned out being 6. So I'm not too worried about that going forward unless it becomes a habit, which I don't foresee. But I know I saw that too. That's almost like there was supposed to be someone over the top on that one that was not there. But I guess we just have to move on that one and just gotta hope that they got drilled in film room and that's not going to happen again.
Yeah, I mean the first AJ Brown touchdown on 4th down. That was never designed to go to him. I mean, he wasn't even supposed to be really part of the play. You could tell he was a decoy, and he had time, and Jalen Hurts literally pointed at him to tell him to slip out and go, and he did. And a touchdown. And then the game-sealing deep ball was on a double move that Rodgers bid on, and if you just stay disciplined right there and understand if they really want to throw that. He faked an in cutting route, whatever it was. But if they really want to throw that in that time in that situation, fine. It would have been okay either way.
Mm-hmm.
But to let what happened happen was that killed him. And I think the other one of the Devonta Smith ones was definitely a blown coverage because there was nobody there.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we can get back to our usual tendencies as far as not allowing those big plays, we'll be sitting in a much better situation. Now, part of
Quentin Johnson is scary,
and part of that could have been because of our commitment to the run. One thing I was really impressed with was our ability to shut down both Jalen Hurts running the ball and Saquon Barkley last week. Saquon hasn't been super impressive this year, but the fact that we were able to not only shut him down, but then also shut Jalen Hurts down from running out of the pocket on us and creating, whether it be big plays or running for first downs, we were able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always impressive when you hold Saquon under 3 yards a carry. And I think a big part of that is Blake Cashman being back. He does a good job of reading those holes and getting and plugging them up. But honestly, that I think our interior defensive line was doing a good job of taking up the blockers so that you could read the holes. Redmond, I thought, had a fantastic game, both on the pass and on the run. I was so impressed seeing him out there. I think he's going to keep proving himself on why he needs to be on the field more often. And I kind of think that's going to move forward in the Chargers game, because I think the Chargers like to run the ball. So I think if we could stop Harbaugh from getting his way and running the ball a lot and controlling the clock, I think we're going to be in a good spot.
Absolutely. So next topic is Wentz and his accuracy. So I think one of the things that we saw, especially in this last game, and I don't think it's so much of him throwing sidearm, because that's been part of his game ever since he was in college. So I really don't think that's as big of an issue as Wentz and his gameplay. Now on the pick six, one could argue that on that play, linebacker was just in the right spot, right time. But at the same time, he was also getting hit as he was throwing the ball. So there was a couple things working there, but the missed opportunity with CJ Ham being open, that was a big miss, and it looked like, at least from watching the game tape and reviewing all 22 that I was on him, I mean, it looked like he's looking right at him. And I don't know why there was hesitancy to throw to a wide open CJ Ham there. But then you also look at the wide open Addison downfield pass. He catches that pass in stride. That's probably a touchdown for Addison there. Instead, he has to make an acrobatic behind, slow down, dive catch, and drag his feet out of bounds. And then the other one to TJ Hawkinson in the back of the end zone. Now, he had one that was taken away from Jalen Naylor on a holding call, Blake Brandell, that shouldn't have been called. But the TJ Hawkinson pass, he was wide open in the back of the end zone. He shouldn't need to dive for that ball. Now, you're on the run a little bit and throwing the ball, but still, step into it and throw an accurate pass there. Maybe we win the game on that.
Yeah, and I mean, really what it boils down to was you're asking Carson Wentz to throw the ball 42 times. It's just not a recipe for a successful game plan. I know the circumstances called for such.
I think we just lost your video.
All right, hang on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see you.
Well, probably. My dad always said I had the perfect face for radio.
I'm going to blame it on your cat. I'm guessing your cat's somewhere.
No, I don't know what just happened. Anyway. Well, you guys talk. I'm going to figure this out.
All right, yeah. Well, where Ryan was going there was kind of exactly what me and you actually talked about before we got in here, how we abandoned the run way too quick. And he's right. We can't expect a backup quarterback to throw the ball 43 times. And just to touch on those two plays you talked about, that Addison throw, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. He's 30 yards on a go route, and he underthrew him and to the right. I think I could have made a better throw on that than he did. I was baffled on that.
And I haven't seen you throw, but I'll take your word for it. Now we can see you, Ryan.
But then you go that CJ Ham one, going over the tape a few times, I'm pretty sure CJ Ham was the first progression there. So I have no idea why he wasn't getting the ball. I'm about 90% sure that he was the first read on that route progression. So I don't know why he wasn't getting the ball.
So there was a linebacker. I believe it was a linebacker that stepped out on the play, to where maybe he was in his field of view, to where he thought maybe he had stepped into that lane, and maybe that caused the hesitancy to throw that to CJ Ham.
I got a hot take.
But yeah.
It was Carson Wentz. That's why. I mean, the guy is who he is at this point. And again, you want him to throw the ball that many times, you're not gonna win a whole bunch of games. Now, I'd be really curious to see what the stats were when he was asked to drop back, read a defense, and throw the ball versus when they were running the RPOs, because this is the Carson Wentz at the helm is the most RPOs I've ever seen a Vikings team run under Kevin O'Connell. So, and that's what he did. He almost won an MVP running RPOs behind that Eagles offensive line. before he got injured, and Nick Foles came over, and then they destroyed the Vikings in the championship game just running RPOs. So he knows how to do that. But if you're asking him to be a drop back, sit back in the pocket, read defense passer, he's proven year over year over year. And the reason why the Eagles moved on from Carson Wentz, who almost won an MVP, to Jalen Hurts was because he can't be that kind of quarterback.
Let's just say he makes 2 of those plays, though, Ryan.
Oh yeah,
what are we talking about?
100%.
What are we talking about today?
But that's what I'm saying, though. You're talking about Carson Wentz. I mean, it's
just saying he completes 2 of those passes. It's a totally different conversation.
It'd be great, but Carson Wentz doesn't traditionally make those 2 passes. He doesn't traditionally make those game-changing plays that need to be made at like Kevin O'Connell says, you're at your best when your best is required. He's not usually ever, or if he is at his best when his best is required, his best is just not good enough.
I mean, let's talk about the JJ over the top pass. Carson did put it exactly where he should have, and that should have been a touchdown.
Oh, that should have been a touchdown. JJ Jed has even said like that he's got to come down on that one, and I think I think you give him that 10 times against Cooper DeJean, he probably comes down with it 8. So it's just one of those fluke ones that he didn't quite hold on to it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that just kind of didn't go our way in that game. That's for sure.
Sure. So, I mean, I think that's one of the things, though, is the accuracy. And again, if we can have a couple of those plays go our way, it's a different story. So same thing in this game, carrying over if Wentz can have that accuracy. And again, I think a big part of that is, let's not get away from our run game too early. Jordan Mason, potentially we have Aaron Jones back as well, too. I think that helps. So getting into the 5th key that I have is defensive pressure against the Chargers offensive line. This is a Chargers offensive line that is able to be had, if you will. So our defensive front, yes, no Andrew Van Ginkel, but I think our defensive front should be more than capable to handle them in the trenches and have success.
Yeah, I mean, especially the way that Turner's been progressing throughout the season. He's starting to look really good. And then you go Grenard towards the end of the game against the Eagles. I think this is a team that, this is an offensive line that's going to be perfect for the Vikings. A pass rush, I think they're going to get a lot of confidence. I think we're going to get probably 4 or 5 sacks. And then we're going to have a lot of interior pressure on the interior as we've been getting all year. Redmond's been looking good. Hargrave didn't get all that many snaps, and Allen also, but I think those guys all 3 are going to be rotating in, and we're going to be seeing a lot of rush from the center, and it's going to help out the back end of the defense too.
Yeah, I think their offensive line has not been very good, and we should certainly give them fits all game. Expect a lot of max pressures. Justin Herbert is a guy that can move a little, but it's not a guy that you're too concerned with, whereas last week you were concerned with Jalen Hurts getting out of the pocket and making plays on his feet. And that's why you saw a lot of contained rushes against Jalen Hurts. And I don't think you really need to be as passive with it this week. You can really just pin your ears back and go get him. If you end up a couple plays rushing too far upfield and losing a little bit of contain on Justin Herbert, I mean, your linebackers are generally fast enough to where they can come and make a play for not a huge gain, where it would have been a different story with Hurts. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a much more aggressive team getting off their quarterback this week. And I would make a point too. I don't know if you guys talked about it yet, but Ivan Pace Jr. didn't play a single snap on defense last week against the Eagles. I think a major reason for that is the missed tackles that he's had all year, and they were really worried about him having to spy Jalen Hurts. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do see a little more Ivan Pace. I do think he's lost his job to Eric Wilson, but I think you'll see maybe him on the field a little bit more this week, because one thing he is really good at is still rushing the passer. And so on some of those exotics that Flores likes to run, I think you might see him come on a little bit more just to get after the passer, not for really much else.
So, one thing we didn't really talk about yet. So Vidal, I think we're going to be, again, he's a backup. He's the third string running back on this team. We're going against an offensive line that we should be able to stop. So we talked about that, but they do have a little bit of a three-headed monster at wide receiver. So as long as they're fully healthy, they got Lad McConkey, they got Quentin Johnston, and then they still have Keenan Allen that came back that is still capable of making some big plays.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we combat that with our pass rush. Our cornerbacks and safeties have been pretty good all season. I'm not too worried about those guys going out and making plays that they solely make. I think it's going to be a matter of we can't give them too much time to let plays develop. And even you brought up Vidal, I think we can't sleep on that because they know their offensive line's hurting, and a great way to help your offensive line is to get the run game going. So I could see the first couple of drives having the run game. They're attempting to use the run game. So I don't think we can sleep on that. But I just think we gotta watch Keenan Allen. He loves to use his height and his athleticism to make plays. So I think we just have to stay on him, and a lot of over the top help too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Quentin Johnston is a huge target. I mean, and as much as I love what Isaiah Rodgers has been this year, it's going to be a really tough task for him to cover him because he's got so much length on him. And then, Lad McConkey's always open, so he's always going to be thrown. He's all those underneath routes. He's tough to guard. It's definitely going to be a challenge to cover them guys. And the last time the Vikings played the Chargers, they tore our secondary up. I think that was pre Brian Flores, but still. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge for him. And Vidal, he's a big back, man. He's not someone who's going to be super shifty, but he's tough to bring down.
Now, we do have a defense in the Chargers that's able to be had. We have the weapons, as long as we're executing and not creating turnovers, winning that turnover battle. I do see this defense being something that, again, capitalizing on our red zone opportunities, don't make Will Reichard the largest scorer on this team, making sure that, again, just better percentage in the red zone. I think we're able to have success. I'm going to go ahead and jump into now a prediction segment for this game, unless you guys have any other topics you want to cover on this one. Okay.
Good.
All right. I'll even start it off prediction wise. So I have the Vikings going ahead and winning this game 31-23. Vikings get a.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vikings win as well, but I'm gonna go with 24-10.
Yeah, I don't think the Chargers break 20 points, so I'll just go 23-18.
All right. Hey, do you guys got anything else that you want to add before we sign off?
Two tutties from Jettas this week.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we can spread it around, right?
I mean, we can, but he's gonna go off.
I'm just joking. So the reason I'm mentioning that is we're going to jump into, after this is a double header night because we are jumping into the Fantasy 15, and that has something to do with Ryan and I's ultimate lineup. So I would love to see Jettas get a couple 2-3 touchdowns. That might help Ryan out this week. But other than that, please join us. We are going to have a Fantasy 15 podcast right after this. Give us a bit of time to switch over, and then go ahead and join us for that. I think Austin's going to bounce out and check out Timberwolves, who are live right now playing against
the Trailblazers.
Is it Trailblazers? Yeah.
You got a live score for us, Austin?
It was 29-24.
Who's winning?
The Trailblazers. We're having we're playing downdoor competition type game that it's looking like.
Did Ant start tonight?
Yeah, Ant's playing.
Okay, good.
I did see that.
It looks like DiVincenzo's starting at point guard now.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So they're going to have Conley coming off the bench is kind of what I had heard today
Yeah.
from Krasinski. So, but all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully the Vikings go into LA, get a win against the Chargers week 8, come out of there 4-3 before we go ahead and take on the Lions. For Viking Central, I'm Steve. That's Austin. And that's Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Skol Vikings. We'll see you next week and see you for the post game tomorrow.
Mm.